And when I tried to start this up last time, it just randomly crashed. Took me some time to get it all together. Everything seems to be in check though, so everything's up in terms of telemetry. On the soft compound tyre, that's to be expected. Now time to find the stream. Whereabouts is said stream? Go onto YouTube. Esports. Turn that down. There it is there. So, fantastic. The stream's up, the chat's up. We're all good to go. Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to round 11 of the Race Spec Esports PlayStation RS2 Championship. We're here at Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez for the Mexican Grand Prix. It's a 4.3 kilometer, 2.7 mile, 17 turn racetrack. It has a little bit of everything that you want in a racetrack. It has high, medium and low speed corners. It's got an incredibly tricky and painful high speed S section in the middle sector that forms turn 7 through 11. It is so painful to go through there on a pad. On a wheel it's not too bad, but on a pad it's actually ridiculous. And then we've got the third sector, which is a rather disappointing bit of circuit because it is incredibly difficult to race through there. Turns 11 through basically 15, I suppose. Here's turn 12 and turns 13, 14 and 15 that form this little complex within this stadium, and around turn 16 and 17 to end the lap. It's rather disappointing really, because it's a piece of circuit that you can't really race through. You can't pass someone through there. You have to follow the car in front unless you're right alongside them entering the stadium. Not only that, but it offers a choke point under safety car restarts, which always create a mess. So if we do see a safety car for tonight, I wouldn't be at all surprised if we saw some severe collision penalties due to cars stopping in the middle of the circuit, trying to not hit the car in front. Other than that, the racing around here, generally speaking, is more or less follow the leader sort of stuff. For about 2/3 of the lap it's difficult to pass, and then all of the action takes place usually at turns 1 and 4 that come immediately after incredibly long DRS straights. Strategy will play its part in this race as well. By default you should be doing a 2-stop strategy. Everyone's on the soft compound tyre, which suggests to me that everyone's planning to do a 2-stop. Either that or it's going to be raining in this race. But drivers outside the top 10 may favour a 1-stop strategy, perhaps mediums to hards, trying to take one less pit stop during the race, gain 20 to 23 seconds because of it. But the 2-stop is so much more favourable, not so much because the pit lane is so short. It's not particularly long here at Mexico, but more so because the soft tyre is ridiculously quicker than the two other They've just got so much more pace over those two compounds, so you are more inclined to use the soft tyre as much as you can over the course of this race. 10 minutes left in qualifying. We've got ACW on the top of the table, a 1 minute 13.366, just under half a second clear of Leo in second place. ACW's championship rival Isaac Kush is currently on a flying lap, exiting turn 4 around the double apex hairpin of turn 6. As I've mentioned in previous streams, it's one of my more favourite corners on any racetrack. I just enjoy navigating that hairpin. There's something very satisfying about it, I find. But is that invalidating through the high speed S's? It will be quite the common sight throughout qualifying and in the race. Drivers gathering warnings through there. Rage on an out lap. Notice Contrast is on a flying lap, and I've also read a bit in the Discord just prior to the race, and I believe that Contrast might be racing with a broken arm, which is some commitment to racing. Basically Ricky Bobbying it. Even with a broken arm, it won't stop him from racing. But Rage will begin his first flying lap. The Swedish driver heading down the incredibly long pit straight into the heavy braking zone of turn 1. Just after the 100-meter board, he slams on the brakes down to 3rd gear through turn 2, keeps it in 3rd, 4th gear through turn 3. It's critical that you get a good exit to maximise the top speed down this straight. Towards turn 4, aiming at the 100-meter board on the brakes again, down to 2nd gear, around turn 5, short shifts to 3rd, 4th gear, around turn 6, there's Leo just getting off the racetrack, trying not to impede the Williams. Around turn 7, turn 8, 9, then turns 10 and 11 that end this high speed S section, keeps it completely pinned, fully committed there. Now turn 12, slams on the brakes, 4th gear, sideways on the exit but keeps it under control. Round 13, 14, turn 15, then turn 16, the 90-degree right-hander. Turn 17 is the final corner, keeps it to the inside, crosses the line, goes 2nd fastest with a 1 minute 13.668. 3/10 off ACW's time, who has invalidated, by the way. Finn Kelly on a flying lap, apparently purple to the first sector, but this just might be a first lap glitch. This tends to happen. Round turn 7 and turn 8. Left-hander of 9, the right-left of 10 and 11. Cross the sector 2 split line. Round turn 12 and into the tight hairpin of 13. And into this little chicane of sorts. Into the 90-degree right-hander of 16, then the final curve 17. Finn will cross the line, goes 7th fastest with a 1 minute 14.5. Logboy on a flying lap coming through sector 3 now. Takes a wide entry through 12 to open up the corner as much as he can. Round the hairpin. And through these little kinks. Coming to the end of the lap. Has not set a time as of yet. He will now. He'll go 8th quickest with a 1 minute 14.605, about a 10th off Finn's time as we were riding on board with him earlier. KD just set a lap time as well, 1 minute 14.304, 7th quickest for the American. Crossing the line, going faster. ACW does a 1 minute 13.047. He is 6/10 clear of Rage. He is asserting his authority. Can this man come to the challenge? Isaac Cushy's championship rival? Actually, there'll be something I'll briefly talk about. Those two, ACW and Izzat, are sitting 1-2 in the championship. They are realistically the only championship contenders as well. But see if I can't find it here. That's the chat, not the championship. There's the Race Spec F1 leagues. So if I scroll up, find the RS2, there it is. So ACW leading the way on 119 behind. 3rd place is Plevs. He's 54 points behind championship leader ACW. Then it's Wogboy on 56. So they're mathematically in contention, but realistically, it's a dogfight between ACW and Izzat Kush. And at the moment, ACW is well on top. Izzat needs to set something, at the very least. Get him out of last place. Get him out of P15. We're right on board with the Singaporean. There's Miku Litzy in the Mercedes-Benz, just getting out of the way. Round turn 1. Turn 2. Turns 3. Very nicely through there. Maximizing what you can, but not being too greedy. Finishing the first sector. Round turn 4 now. Down to second gear. Quite a similar technique as you can see when we rode on board with Rage. Using second gear through these tight corners at the beginning of the second sector. Through the high speed S's now. Fifth gear really chucks it through, maximizing the width that the game allows you to have. Keeps it committed round turn 11 as well. Now through turn 12. Around 13, 14 and 15. Now he'll cross the line to set a 1 minute 12.993. That is a great response there from Izzat. He takes pole position away from ACW. Does ACW have anything in response with a little over 3 minutes left in the session? By contrast, proceeding to cut a fair amount of the arena section there to get back into the pits. He is running out of time, so he does need to get a hurry on if he wants to try and set another lap. So it will be tight for time, so I understand why he had to cut that bit of the circuit. I think the gaming wafer might be our first driver to try and set their final flying lap. Wafer yet to set a lap time. He's sitting in 15th place, last place at the moment. He will round the hairpin inside this stadium, a former baseball stadium if memory serves me right. Comes around the final curve with 2 minutes left. What can the Williams driver do? Coming towards, I believe that's Wogboy in the Renault, it would be. He's the only Renault in the field. Round turn 1, 4th gear, down to 3rd gear at the apex. 2nd gear for turn 2, 3rd through turn 3. A slightly different technique compared to Rage and Izzat. They kept 3rd through there. Towards turn 4. Does a 27.9 in the first sector. He'll come around the hairpin of turn 6, 2nd gear, short shifts to 3rd. Keeps it nice and tidy on the exit. Izzat Kush retires from the session. So Izzat isn't going to try and set another lap. He has no time to do so, so he just retires. He basically prays, he hopes that he can keep pole. Rage. Wafer's teammate gets out of the way very professionally. Coming to the end of the lap. Doesn't invalidate Wafer. He's done a superb job. He'll cross the line. He'll back off at the line to set a 15.5. This must be a strategic call from the gaming Wafer. He might want to start outside the top 10. He's going to try and give a bit of a toe to his teammate Rage, who was on a flying lap. ACW currently 3 thousandths down in the first sector, coming to the end of the second sector. What time can he find? He's even. He is even. Oh, and there was an Alpha Tauri right in front of him. Who was that? That's Alex Parto. That would have impeded ACW, but fortunately he has enough time to try and set another lap. See there, 5 seconds left, he's made it. So has Alex Parto. But my word, that was very close. Rhythm's currently 3rd with a 1 minute 13.540 on a flying lap. Yellow flags in the second sector. Rhythm's down though in the first. Rage comes to the end of his lap. 3/10 up, crosses the line, does a 13.293, goes 3rd quickest. What about Leo? Up by 3/10 as well. With that sort of pace, he can overtake Rhythms for 4th. And that's an AlphaTauri cutting the course there. Not quite sure who that was, but Leo will exit the final curve to go fourth quickest with a 1 minute 13.4. ACW up by 3/10 in the second sector. He's looking at a pole position so long as he keeps the car within the white lines in this final sector. He backs off. He's out of fuel, actually. I'm sorry, he's out of fuel. He will not improve. Izzat is given a massive break there. He takes pole. ACW up massively in the second sector, ran out of fuel in the third. So as a result, the best he can do in qualifying is second. One would wonder if he wasn't impeded on his first flying lap. Maybe one would wonder. But that is the end of qualifying here in Mexico City. Excuse me. Izzat Kush on pole. There we go. A fairly dramatic end to qualifying that is. How about that? Whew. But in the end, only 13 cars setting lap times. The Stone Towel and Jompalainen in 14th and 15th did not set a lap time. Looking at the results, it is half a tenth of a second between first and second place there. Rage in third, exactly 3/10 behind our pole sitter. Leo in fourth, Rhythms in fifth, Alex Pato in P6, Wogboy in seventh, KD in eighth, Miku Litsi in ninth, and Finn Kelly rounds out the top 10, 1.5 seconds separating the top 10. It's eye contrast to Gaming Wafer, Plevs, and two drivers did not set a lap time. The Stone Towel and Jompalainen will start from the back of the field in 14th and 15th respectively. Now, as you can see, it's still fairly overcast in qualifying. Will that translate into the race? Will we see any sort of rain? Maybe some mixed conditions during this race? I'll have to wait and see. It's difficult to judge, really, because the strategy typically is a two-stop, so you're utilizing the soft compound tyre a lot. And as you can see, it is clear skies. Well, relatively clear anyway. No obvious signs of dark clouds or any rain inbound, so looking at a fairly straightforward dry race. So we know the drivers inside the top 10 will be starting on the soft compound tyre. Pretty much all of them will be doing a two-stop strategy. Most likely a soft, medium, soft strategy. Drivers outside the top 10 probably favour the one-stop mediums to hards. Soft to hard is theoretically possible, but you're stretching the life on both compounds and you're running the risk of getting a puncture. So it's a risky game that you're playing with a soft to hard one-stop. I've done it myself in Pacific Tier 3, and the front left, which is the tyre that gets most worn around here, got to about 85%, and I run no assist, so, and typically speaking, no assist means slightly better tyre wear, so yeah, doing softer hards may not be the way to go. But we'll see what everyone's up to. Everyone's lined up and will set off on their formation lap. Yeah, as you can see, top 10 starting on the softs. Everyone outside of it, though, starting on the mediums. Hey, Chris, that is something different. Typically, you see at least a couple of them on the softs, but no, every one of them is on the mediums. Contrast on the medium tyre in P11. Gaming Wafer, same thing, P12. Plevs in 13th on the medium tyres. Same with the Stone Towel and Jompalainen. All of them on the medium compound tyre. Rather expectedly, none of them are on the hard compound tyre. I don't think that's a smart idea to start on the hard compound right out of the gates. you're much better off starting on one of the softer compounds and keeping that hard compound tyre in your back pocket, just in case if you get into an accident early on, or perhaps there's an early safety car. But for those drivers outside the 10 on those mediums, they now have to bear in mind they're going to be several seconds off the pace over the course of this stint on the medium compound tyre. The soft tyre is just so much quicker than the mediums and the hards. So those top 10 drivers are just going to pull away from these 5 cars on the mediums. So yeah, it's not looking good for these guys. Not looking good at all. Isaac Kush has decided to give the Mexican fans a bit of a close-up of the Red Bull, it seems. He had a bit of a spin through there, and he's dropped down the order. He'll still line up on pole position. He's just, shown his admiration to the virtual Mexican crowd. The drivers are going to line up, going to be ready to race here in Mexico City. 15 cars on the grid. 36 laps lay in front of us, and we have 5 red lights. And it's lights out, and away we go. And Izzat's converted incredibly well off the line. Now get ready for this, folks. This is one of the best camera shots in F1 2020. Looking down the pit straight at turn 1. The sea of colour arrives through turn 1. ACW in second, the Williams and the Haas, that is Leo and Rage, battling for second place there. A fairly tame start, not a great deal of drama or chaos, which is very nice to see. Leo and Rhythms now battling for position side by side through turn 4 and through turn 5. But Leo around the outside gets superior traction and he hangs on to 4th place. There's a predicted tyre stop strategy. It is a 2-stop for Leo, either soft medium or soft medium. I don't think that's probably the way to go with a soft medium. Just the soft tyre is just that much quicker compared to the medium compound tyre. And Contrast has fallen down to last in 15th place. I notice his car and the Stone Towers car were ghosted, and iContrast is still ghosting, and that is an AI very much in control of this car. Look at the throttle input. That is an AI throttle input where it goes off throttle every time it changes gear, as we have the typical lap 1 glitch, or lap 2 glitch rather, where the leaderboard gets a little bit funky. Go with Izzat, the race leader. Crossing the first sector split line usually resolves this problem. He's got his championship rival right in behind. This might be a very interesting race between these two. Rage in 3rd place, holding his own. He's got a bit of a gap to P2. He's also got a fairly comfortable margin to P4, so he can just worry about himself, try and catch up to the leading duo. In behind, we've got this train of cars. This is where we see these big groups form. All of them have DRS, and all of them are unable to do anything in these trains. Is that setting fastest laps? 1 minute 17.2, and nobody has beaten it, so he is the fastest man on track. Rhythm's not quite close enough to attack. Wobboy just might be. He's on the back of KD. DRS is enabled, but he won't be able to use it until the end of the 2nd sector, coming up to the 3rd DRS zone on the racetrack. You see he's giving KD a lot of trouble at the moment. A long way behind his iContrast. Might just Hopefully he'll be able to rejoin the session. Yeah, I heard about that contrast about your arm broken. I was going to say, that would be some feat if you were going to do that race with a broken arm. Literally Ricky Bobby it. Or drive one-handed. With these things. That'd be a lot of fun. Overtaking Rage there. Leo jumps into third. Then we'll see Rage close back in and he'll try and overtake Leo. Rather, Rage is under attack from Rhythms down the inside. The outside. Oh! I wonder if Rage was a bit out of control there at turn 4. I thought maybe his car was a bit sideways there, but he's kept it under control, it seems. But because of Rage and Rhythms having a battle, Leo has been able to pull away. The gap has increased to 1.5 seconds. Oh, and Rhythms looking down the inside into turn 12. Goes deep, too deep, runs wide. He gets back onto the racetrack though, and that's the stone towel, creating a yellow flag at turn 9. Go and look at that just now. Stone Towel gets back onto the racetrack. He gets going, but he's now in 15th place. Realistically speaking, he needs a safety car to try and save his race. Better battling going on. Michalizzi overtaking KD. Alex Parto overtaking Rhythms. That's for P5. Alex is now on the back of Rage, exiting turn 3. Oh, a bit squirrely there, Rhythms, but he keeps it on the black stuff. Alex sitting in the slipstream. Closing in on the Swede, heading into turn 4. Shows the nose, but doesn't commit to the move. Rounding turn 4. Then turn 5. Rhythm gets very close there. Round turn 6. Keeps it hugged in. Short shifts to 3rd, 4th, 5th gear. Heading towards turn 7. Now this is where you don't really want to be Rhythms, or Alex for that matter, when you're stuck in the dirty air of the car in front. Just lose so much time because you're not generating anywhere near as much downforce as if you were in clear air. Round turn 12, then into the stadium. Exiting the stadium, Alex sitting right in behind, ready to attack. He's going to go for it here, I imagine. He is close enough. He's going to use overtake at the exit. He switches it off and opens DRS. Sitting in the slipstream, pulls to the inside. A very late move, but he's committed. And there he goes into 4th place there. Finn, Kelly and KD just swapping position there. Now Rage on the attack. Trying to get back at Alex. Here comes Rhythms. He can't get enough momentum to try and overtake the Williams. And now Wogboy and Miku are only just in behind. Oh, as Rhythms has a bit of a moment there at the exit of turn 5. He catches it, but he's lost a little bit of ground to Rage. Wogboy a lot closer than what he was on the previous lap. May favour himself here, try and make up a few positions. Shuffle himself up the field. See this long train of cars from P4 all the way down to P11. They're all within a second of each other, and KD is not enjoying himself out there. He has lost a sufficient amount of time, and he's got wing damage as well. That car is understeering like crazy, but he doesn't have wing damage. What's going on here? Looking at that outboard shot, he doesn't have wing damage, but riding on board with him, that car is understeering everywhere. You can see that wing is intact. E1 goes on, but he definitely, without a doubt, had wing damage. That car was seriously understeering. Alex still leading this train. He still has Rage behind. So long as Alex nails the second sector, he can keep the cars behind him. He needs to open up a gap of about 6 or so tenths and he should be able to hang on. Because he'll open up a gap through here, the second sector. The cars behind will close in. It will just be sort of this accordion effect. They get closer together on the straights, and they open back out through the corners. And with that going on, Alex should be able to hang on to fourth. See the gap, about 7 or so tenths. Rage won't be able to close that much on this straight. And I don't think he'll be able to close in that much on the next straight as well to try and attack into turn 4. So basically all of these guys have DRS, but none of them are in a position to try and overtake one another. Such is the racing here in Mexico. ACW is closing in on Isaac Kush as well, so we might have something else to look at in a few moments' time. Should be fairly enjoyable to watch to see those two scrap it out. No, I hope you get better with that hand-eye contrast, or that arm rather. And as you mentioned, not a bad effort to qualify 11th with one hand. But yeah, to do an entire race, that's asking a lot of yourself. I personally wouldn't do it. And that is the Stone Tower? Yes, it was. So the gap at the front, 1.4, it's increased a little bit from last time I checked. Rhythms is in as well. But the Ferrari man in the pits. Set of mediums onto the car. It is about the right time to switch onto the mediums if you're doing a soft medium soft race. So he'd be planning to get a bit of an undercut on his rivals because all of them have stayed out. KD, he had a front wing change, so he's lost a sufficient amount of time to those he was battling with. The Rhythms, he needs to nail this lap. Needs to make the most of what he has. Try and get that undercut to work. Alex, a 3-second time penalty. We'll see a few of those in tonight's race, I think. It is that easy to try and gather them around there. Oh, as the Stone Tail is sped into the pit lane and has proceeded to retire from the session as Isaac Kush in the pits to go onto the medium compound tyre. He gets an... Oh, and the Haas and Red Bull came together there in the fast lane. Oh, and the Racing Point has stopped. Who's that? That's KD. He's back in the pits, is he? No, that was the Stone Tail's AI. I saw a pink car come to a dead stop there in the pit lane. It was the Stone Tail's AI. Ugh. So a fair bit of shenanigans going on in the pits. Dearie me. Plevs on the back of Finn Kelly, giving the Haas driver plenty of trouble. Yeah, Plevs, he's not close enough to attack here, is he? Stuck in the dirty air, he just lost just a little bit of time, a little bit of momentum. He can't attack here at turn 12. Miku a penalty. Now, Plevs will be hoping, praying that Finn goes into the pits, as ACW does exactly that, and I imagine Alex and Miku will do the same thing as well, and so does Finn. Actually, scratch that, one of them hasn't, it's Miku. The Finn stays out. He may be doing a soft-hard strategy. Now, if you're going to do a soft-hard, you need to stretch the soft compound tyre about 12 laps. to try and get those hard compound tyres to the end. The game suggests that the hard compound tyre can do about 23 laps. So you need to get to about that lap 12, lap 13 window in order to try and get to the end. Either that, or he's just trying to stretch this soft stint out to then reduce the amount of time on the mediums. Or perhaps he's just praying for a VSC or a safety car. That will help him out. Also, after that pit stop shuffle, that undercut has worked for Rhythms. He's in front of Rage, Alex, Wogboy, in front of all of them. 4 seconds behind Leo, who is on the soft compound tyre. So Leo has taken a slightly alternate strategy here. A lot of them doing the soft, medium, soft, it would seem, as Miku pits. So he was just doing an extended run, I would think, on the soft compound tyre, and he goes on to the medium. So yeah, turns out to be the latter scenario. Miku just doing a longer stint on the softs to minimize the laps on the mediums. So Leo's plan is to try and catch up to those in front, make up track position now and compensate later on. Be interesting to see how his race pans out. And Izzat, with that undercut, has increased the margin between himself and ACW to 2.6 seconds. So Izzat's got a bit of company. The Gaming Wafer right in front on his old medium compound tyres, just holding up the Red Bull driver ever so slightly, allowing the Alfa Romeo of ACW to close back in. Heading towards turn 12, Izzat not in a position to attack just yet. Oh, and he pumps him and he spins the Williams and he backs off. And here comes ACW. Wafer rejoins in second, and ACW will capitalise on this situation. What a development there. And here comes ACW. He opens DRS, sits in the slipstream. He pulls to the inside. They're going to be side by side, heading towards turn 1. ACW goes for the move. Izzat will be on the inside for turn 2, and he keeps the inside at turn 3. ACW not giving up though. He is side by side with the Red Bull, heading towards turn 4. The leaderboard chopping and changing there. This Codemasters isn't really working with me with the cameras. And ACW takes second place. So from a 2.8 second margin between Izzat and ACW, it's now completely flipped. ACW in front of Izzat, and he's now starting to pull away. Heading into the arena section, the gap is 0.7 of a second. Man, if this was real life Formula 1, I reckon ACW would buy Gaming Wafer a beer there. Lap 14 of 36. There is still a lot of laps to go. Still a lot of racing to take place. This battle is certainly not over. Leo now in 4th place, making full use of those soft compound tyres, as Izzat Kush gets a 3-second time penalty. That'll be something else to keep tabs on during this race as well. The penalty scenario. Everyone has one at the moment, except for 4 drivers: Plebs, ACW, Finn Kelly, and the AI of iContrast. Other than that, everyone else has some sort of penalty and some sort of description. Through the high-speed S's, gap is half a second. DRS open, Izzat closes back in just a little bit. Through the stadium section. Yeah, negotiate that quite nicely, and Leo is catching up at a rate of knots as Plevs goes into the pits, the race leader. So ACW takes the lead. Izzat now in second, Leo in third, and it's going to be a two-stop for Plevs, so he's going to be doing I assume, a medium soft race. He is going to be lightning fast right now, right here at the end of this race. He's got a fair margin to close up, 3 seconds to Finn Kelly. Rhythm still leading this train. He's got Rage right behind, and actually it's not quite the same train as it once was. Alex has lost quite a bit of ground to Rage, gap of almost 3 seconds. He's got Wogboy and Mikulitsi as company. And now Leo has introduced himself to this battle. He'll have DRS at the start of next lap, so now we got a three-way fight for the lead. Strategy call from Leo has worked for now. The key bit is for now. DRS open. This is going to be very, very interesting to watch. Is that not quite close enough, I think. There's eye contrast AI, just vibing. DRS open. Miku overtaken by Wogboy there. Just a brief exchange of position as Izzat almost goes right into the back of ACW's Alfa Romeo. The two leaders negotiate the Ferrari there. There's Leo's car just in behind. The gap has opened up to almost a second. That might have been a warning there for Izzat. He was very close to going all four wheels over the white line. Round turn 12. Turns 13, 14 and 15. And turn 16 and turn 17 to end the lap. Fortunately for Izzat, he still has DRS. And we're closing in on the halfway mark now of this Mexican Grand Prix as KD gets another penalty, 3 seconds next to his name. Exiting turn 3. I don't think Izzat will be close enough to attack. I think Mikulitsi might be. Round turn 1 into turn 2. Round the long way, Miku. Round turn 3, he has the... They make contact! They make contact, and here comes Wogboy to capitalise on the situation. He is side by side with the Finn, heading towards turn 4. He fights around the long way. Miku goes deep though, and he covers off the Renault at turn 5. A great bit of driving there. Great bit of car positioning there from Mikulitsi. He sent it in deep and he covered off the Renault, stopping him from diving down the inside of turn 5. It's very smart driving there from Miku. It's unfortunate he and Alex made contact at turn 3. Leo has now got another 3-second time penalty. I believe that's 6. Yes, it is. It is 6 seconds next to his name, and I don't think he'll have DRS here. He doesn't, so he'll fall away on the straights as his soft compound tyres continue to wear. And here comes Izzat right behind AC and go for a move at turn 4. But ACW has a great run at the exit of 3. Izzat's not close enough. I thought maybe he was, but ACW just exited turn 3 quite nicely there. Just pulled away. Lighting up the rear tyres. Izzat is pushing hard, not giving in. Turn 11 right here. Takes it quite nicely. You have to be careful through there. It's a hot spot for warnings. Turn 12. Yeah. Izzat needs to take the final two curves quite nicely here. 4.5 tenths. Is he close enough? Opens the DRS flap. Doesn't use any ERS until now. He switched on overtake just briefly. He's thinking about it. ACW defends. Compromises his line through 1, but blocks Izzat. Covering the inside line through 2. It wasn't a massive block. It was just, I wouldn't say a block. It was only the first thing that came into my head. It was more better car positioning there from ACW. Just placed the car nicely, a bit sideways there at the exit of 5, but he keeps the car under control. Even with the compromised line, he slowed the car right up at the apex. Try and stop Izzat from getting some sort of switchback through 2 and 3. Rhythms, 3-second time penalty, multiple warnings. Rounding turn 16 into 17. Izzat is definitely close enough now. Uses a bit of overtake at the exit of the final turn. Opens the DRS slot. And he should drive past with absolute ease. With 17 laps to go, he retakes the lead. Closes the DRS flap. Round turn 1 locking up as he goes through. Round turn 2, then turn 3. He'll get DRS again. Pull away even more from the Alfa Romeo. And into turn 4. Just in behind will go. Oh my goodness, what have I just looked at? Oh my goodness me. What have I just flicked to? 3 cars sent pirouetting at turn 3. Oh, and wafer. Whew. Thread the needle there. What a brilliant bit of timing on my part. I was just going back to see what was going on in the sort of lower half of the top 10. You can see 3 cars spinning about the exit of turn 3. What was going on there? John Palanen was given a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags. I flicked to that quite nicely, my word. Caught me completely off guard. Leo down the inside of Plevs. Plevs putting up a fight. Round the outside, can't go there unfortunately, Leo. The track characteristics forbid it. Out in front is still Izzat Kush. ACW just in behind as it's now become quite overcast. You can see there is plenty of cloud cover over the racetrack. We may yet see some wet conditions. Ooh, is Alex in the pits? Front wing change and a 5-second penalty being served. That's why there was no tyre changing or anything like that for just a brief period of time. Dearie me. Rhythms a 3-second time penalty, multiple warnings. These cars are very close together. Lovely aerial shot here through the high speed S's. Very nice there from Miku. Just paying attention to his lines, he basically nailed all of that. ACW is close. He is very close. But Izzat gets a great exit. Look at that. He pulled out maybe 2 tenths at the exit there of turn 3. These two in a class of their own, it would seem. These two are doing very well as well. Rhythms and Rage P3 and 4. Currently battling for the final podium spot. They are some ways ahead of P5, which is Wogboy, P6 Finn Kelly. Then there's the Gaming Way for Jompalainen, and then all of these fellas just in a group, a big group. At the back of the field is Alex Parto and the AI of iContrast, minding their own business. Alex, I think, will be going to the end of the race on those tyres. He'll still be about 10 seconds behind the next car though. Out in front, still leading, Izzat Kush with a 6/10 lead. Through turn 1. He has a 3-second time penalty next to his name, so it's not looking good for Izzat. He needs ACW to make some sort of error. Gaming Way for Pitts. Jompalainen and Leo side by side. Both of them have DRS. Both of them heading towards turn 1. Leo comes out in front, taking 7th place. Miku gets a nice run. Does he have enough momentum to try and overtake? He does. He passes the McLaren, his fellow Finn, and into 8th place he goes. Whoa, Jompalainen goes too deep there. Here comes Plebs. They are side by side, heading towards turn 7, and Plebs comes out in front of that Jompalainen, slotting back in behind. Just a brief little exchange there. Out in front though, it still Izzat in ACW. Gap is half a second. Coming through the second sector now, just ending the first. Come around turn 6, a gap, still about half a second. They're both very evenly matched, it would seem. This is where Izzat will have an advantage, these high-speed corners. He should pull away. The gap hasn't increased too much there. If ACW can get this final sector just right, he might be able to overtake Izzat. Ooh, oh no, he pulls it up. Pulls it up for the hairpin. Short shifting there just to minimise the wheel spin. Gap is half a second. DRS open. Miku a 3-second time penalty, multiple warnings. In the slipstream, closing up, shows the nose, but Izzat fully aware of ACW's position, doesn't bother defending there. Gets a great exit out of turn 3. ACW, he won't be able to attack at turn 4, and the field is starting to spread out. So I reckon this might be the battle to watch all the way through the rest of this race. We'll be coming close to the leaders pitting in for the final time to go onto the soft compound tyre and go to the end. ACW losing a chunk of time through that second sector, lost about 2 or 3 tenths there. Tries to close it back up here in the third. That is iContrast. His AI just driving around the racetrack. And ACW blinks, he's in. This is a risky move from ACW, but it's one he is willing to take. It's worked for Izzat, the undercut. Out he goes. This will be a very interesting conclusion to this race. Rhythms has done a similar thing as ACW, pitting in with 10 to go. Actually, 11 to go. That will be some stint that you'll have to do on that tyre. That is some stint indeed. Several drivers in. Rage, Wogboy, Finn Kelly, Plebs, Yompalainen all pitting onto the soft tyre. None of them wanting to run long. They all want to pit, put on fresh rubber. That gap between first and second, 20.4 seconds, and it's closing. And these two were only separated by about half a second, so I imagine ACW will retake. And that's a 5-second penalty for speeding. That was a speeding penalty there for Izzat. Not fully paying attention there. He's been given a penalty. Who will come out in front? Well, as we saw in the pit stops just prior to this lot, the undercut, very powerful, very, very powerful. The gap, 1.2 seconds. Is that now another penalty? His chances for a race win, I believe, are well and truly out the window. In fact, there's a fair old chance he might even lose a podium. The amount of penalties he's... First penalty for tonight's race. So I guess now for Izzat, seeing as his bed has already been well made, well before the checkered flag, is that he'll be only fighting for pride now. I don't think he can get a race win unless something catastrophic happens to ACW. That is the only scenario where Izzat could possibly win this. Setting fastest lap times now, 1 minute 15.186. ACW a 1.2 second margin over his rival. Plebs getting close to attack now. Might see an overtake happen here. Actually, scratch the word might. We definitely will see an overtake here. DRS open, and with absolute ease into 8th place goes Plebs. He and Finn yet to get a penalty. They've done a superb job over a racetrack that is incredibly difficult to try and not get any warnings. He's managed to get no penalties so far, both Finn and Plebs, and also ACW, our race leader, no penalties next to his name either. And we'll give a light pat on the back for the AI that is currently driving iContrast F1 car. He hasn't got any penalties yet either. So well done. That Ferrari AI, you're doing a good job. ACW is going to be under assault here in just a moment. He knows full well that he can take the race win with absolute ease. He doesn't need to fight Izzat. And he doesn't fight at all, allowing Izzat to go down the inside to retake the lead on track, knowing full well he can just claim the race win when penalties are applied. Ooh, as ACW has now given himself a time penalty, 3 seconds next to his name. So that means it boils down to 2 drivers and 1 AI in terms of penalties. Will Finn and Plebs be able to get through this race without accumulating any penalties? Or will they finally crack under the pressure of this racetrack's painful characteristics? field is very spread out as well. I think this might be it for us. No one really close to anybody, and we know this battle for the lead, it's already set and done. Only 7 laps to go. Yeah, not much that these fellas can do, really. And no one really has any sort of tyre advantage, except for perhaps Rhythms. In P4, he might be able to close in on Leo. Looking at the interval, he is closing in a little bit, but probably not at the rate. So then he can try and attack Leo for third. Although again, because of penalties, well, it seems as if Rhythms will lose out in that battle as well. Now, the gap between Leo and Izzat is 9 seconds. If that continues to increase, Izzat can, at the very least, keep second place and keep that championship fight alive between himself and ACW. And even though these two have done a superb job in terms of minimizing penalties, they're too far behind the top 6, so they won't gain anything out of it, I think. Yeah, Finn, he's about 13, scratch that, 14.7 seconds behind Rhythm, so he's not able to overtake the German. Wogboy might be mathematically in with a shot to take 5th and demote Rhythms down to 6 due to penalties. The gap between those two is 9 seconds. In terms of pens, the gap between them on track, 9.5. ACW just right in behind. Is that? Not close enough to attack ACW, but he doesn't need to. Just needs to stay in behind and not do anything stupid. That'll be the smart thing. He's got this race won and done. Gap has opened up a little bit there. ACW not getting the greatest run through the second sector. Through the stadium section, once again. When they cross the line, it'll be 4 laps to go. Yeah, what a bit of an anticlimactic ending this is turning out to be. If we scrap the penalties, this would be an incredible fight, but yeah, penalties just sort of ruin it. It's already given us the result several laps before we've even come to the checkered flag. Kind of disappointing, really. Although Finn and players might make this a bit exciting for us. Gap is half a second and neither one of them have penalties. So they're both genuinely fighting on track. Izzat gets another penalty that's now 17 seconds. He's got 11 more seconds worth of penalties than Leo. As Plebs goes down the inside. I think they might have made contact there. Oh, they definitely made contact there at turn 5. And Finn is sent spinning. And he rejoins behind Mikulitsi. Bit of late race drama there. I think, just from that camera view, before we saw the big contact at turn 5. I think there was contact between Plebs and Finn, as these two are fighting. Oh, and spinning! And spinning! But Izzat has come to a stop. He's realised he's partially at fault for this. Whatever these two have done, they have come together at turn 2. And ACW has spun out. Oh, and he's got shocking tyres, and there's Rhythms and Leo. Now, realistically, Rhythms isn't in with a shot to win. He's got too many penalties. Leo might be, if ACW gets into any more trouble. But the two championship contenders coming together with 3 laps to go. I don't know why they're battling each other so hard. And this has given Leo the opportunity to take second because of that incident, because Izzat completely backed off and allowed ACW to catch up to him. Gap is under a second with 2 laps to go. What a, I'd say, unnecessary bit of late race drama. This race was already set and done, and then these two go and crash into each other. And ACW takes the lead. Has little resistance from Izzat. Now the top 4 are separated by less than a second from one another. And Rage, he's got a Renault for company right now. Wogboy applying pressure. Try and close in. Can't quite go for a move just yet. Jean Palainen and the Gaming Wafer close together. Overtaking is Jean Palainen. He had some serious speed in that McLaren, and he goes by into 10th place. Heading towards the stadium section for the second last time. ACW victory should be his. And from the looks of things, second will go to Leo. And third... oh, who will be third? It might be Rage. It might be Rage. The Williams in 5th. He might finish 3rd. It's either Rhythms or Rage at this stage, and I think it is Rage. As of right now. Though he needs to get a move on, he cannot let that gap increase to 12 seconds between himself and Rhythms. The gap at the moment is about 11.6. What a dramatic ending to a race. A dramatic ending to a race that did not deserve a dramatic ending. The results were said and done for the most part, but no, they decided to go and run amok, create a big mess, and give us this. 4 cars closely bunched together, with ACW at the front of it. He will round the final corner to take the checkered flag. He will win here in Mexico. Leo is in 2nd. Who takes 3rd? I think it might be Rhythms in the end. Let's see. Rounding the final corner, it's Rage. He takes 3rd place away from Rhythms. Right there at the checkered flag. Rage on the podium there in 3rd place. What's the gap? See the gap between Rage and Rhythms there right at the end of the race. Plebs in P5. Izzat Kush falls to 6th place. He was guaranteed 2nd. 6th place. His rival won. This has turned out to be a very important race in the context of this championship. Wogboy in 7th, Finn in 8th, Miku in 9th. Gaming Wafer rounds out the top 10. So there we go. The Mexican Grand Prix has come to a close. Driver of the day given to Plevs. Here are the podium celebrations. ACW on the top step. Leo in P2. And Rage, out of nowhere, finishes on the podium in third. How did that happen? I swear, but with about 12 laps to go, basically all of the results were set in stone, so long as they didn't run amok, and they went ahead and run amok. They proceeded to run amok, and we got a completely different ending to what it probably should have been. There was your top three, and it is 0.2 of a second, 0.2 between Rage and Rhythms in the end. That is a close result there for third. Plevs, driver of the day from 13th to 5th. No wonder why he was given driver of the day. No penalties as well. That proved critical in him finishing 5th. Is that those 17 seconds worth of penalties proved critical for him finishing 6th from pole. Woke Boy in 7th, Finn Kelly in 8th, also with no penalties. Mikulitsi in 9th, and the Gaming Wafer rounds out the top 10. Jon Verlaine in 11th, Alex Parto in 12th, our final finisher, with fastest lap as well, a 1 minute 14.911. What an odd race this was. We had some interesting battles throughout. We saw traditional Mexican Grand Prix behavior, where we saw these big groups of cars all have DRS, unable to attack each other. Then towards the end of the race, it looked like it was going to be fairly boring. Not a lot was going to happen. All of the results were pretty much set in stone. Then everything just unraveled. We had that big incident at turn 2 between ACW and IZAP. We had an even bigger one between 3 cars at turn 3 at one stage during this race. It was bonkers. It was unorthodox, this race. Just weird stuff happened at weird times. It was very different, I must say. This has got to be one of the most unorthodox races I have ever seen in my commentary career. Like, just weird stuff happened just all the time. Just weird. But another week, another race here on Race Spec Esports. We now move away from Mexico, go to Spain for the next round of the championship, Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. Now, in real life, it's quite a boring racetrack. It's not very good when it comes to the racing. A lot of high-speed corners, which means a lot of dirty air, makes it difficult for the drivers to follow one another. But in the game, for me personally, I somewhat enjoy driving around Barcelona. It's a nice track to drive around. Racing can be difficult, but in my time commentating and racing, the races themselves tend to be dramatic, chaotic, a lot of crashing going on, particularly at turn 9. I've noticed the uphill right-hander. I've seen many accidents with drivers spinning out and going into the inside barrier. So there's several places on the racetrack that drivers have to look out for. But no, I'm looking forward to next week, even though it is Barcelona and it's not the greatest racetrack. The racing doesn't seem to disappoint here, so I am looking forward to next week. But I do believe that will conclude this stream. Oof. This is bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. Well, can you join? Absolutely, you can join the league. Though I'm not 100% certain how you would do that. You would have to join the Discord. I believe it might be in the description if you wanted to join the Discord. Either that, or on PSN, you better talk to the man Plevs that you saw on screen. He's the league coordinator. He's in charge of this league. if you wanted to speak to someone, he's probably the best person to speak to about joining. But I do believe the way to join the Discord at the very least is in the description below. After that point, you will be asked a series of questions, most likely regarding your assists and whatnot, and your ability to race at certain times. You're very much capable of joining the league, so... Oh. That's alright. And yes, there are many different tiers, you've heard. So, this tier that I commentated was RS2. In a few moments, we'll have the top tier RS1 go on. It's pretty much the best drivers in this league battling it out on track, and there is an actual cash prize for the champion, if I recall correctly, because it's that big of a deal. So I recommend watching that. That will start I think that will start in just a few moments time, in about 4 or so minutes. I think it starts in about 4 minutes. But, that will be very exciting to watch. And there are lower tiers as well. There's tiers all the way down, like this is RS2. I think it goes all the way down to RS7, if I recall correctly. So there are several tiers in this particular championship. There's also other championships. We have a Pacific Series, an America Series, a Euro Series as well for European drivers. Also Xbox drivers as well can join, as well as PC. I believe there's a PC tier somewhere. So it's quite diverse. The only thing we don't have is a Formula 2 championship, I think. Though we usually do that in the off-season when we got nothing else better to do. We drive the other cars that you don't tend to drive during league racing. So there are plenty of things to do in Race Spec Esports. So, but I do think that will conclude the stream. I better make way for the RS1 tier that's probably about to start. Thank you everyone so much for watching. I am the Smeg, and we'll see you next week for the Spanish Grand Prix at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. Until then, goodbye.